Hello ladies and gentlemen, Gabesy here. We are back with some more Hearthstone Arena action. And today we're going to be playing a Mage. Good old Mage. By far the strongest class in arenas. The main strength being their hero power, #1, and their cards, particularly their board clear mechanics, secondary. So, quick update on my stats as always. You can check out the link in the description to see it yourself. I'm at 74.5% win rate in arenas across 2,192 games. Mage in particular, by far my highest, at 78.44% win rate across 487 games. All right. So, to begin the draft here, we have a rare pick. Actually, some pretty shoddy picks here. Angry Chicken is terrible. Should never draft this. The stats are too low. Arcane Golem is not great either. The main problem, the battle cry, giving your opponent a mana crystal, means you put them one turn ahead. And the trade-off for 4 damage for 3 mana effectively is not that good. So we're going to go Abomination. It's a pseudo board clear mechanic. In a pinch, most often the way I play Abomination, I find the way I play it, is not really as a board clear, it's more of a 6 damage minion. So the game's very even, your board's empty pretty much. They have a strong minion out that has 6 health or 5 health maybe. You can play Abomination against that, and they can't really get around it in many cases. So we'll go with him. Alright. Mirror Entities, the worst of these. A lot of secrets are very poor card choices, and this is one that can be played around pretty reliably. It's common though. It's the most common secret mages will play. Because you always get 1 card for 1, but the main problem is opponents will play around it properly, so you don't always get the full strength of the card, and they'll often give you weak minions. So for example, if you have something that summons an extra minion like a Silverhand Knight or Razorfin Hunter or something like that, and you play that card with the opponent Mirror Entity being active, the Mirror Entity will only copy the original minion. It does not trigger Battlecry effects, which summons the extra minion. So the Mirror Entity copy will just be the 4/4 Knight. It won't have the 2/2 that the Silverhand summons, for example. So it's invariably worse. And that's just assuming it's a decent card to begin with. If they just summon a shitty one, then you get a shitty one. So it's tough to make it work, basically. Storepike Commando is pretty good 5-drop. Typically you won't play him on 5 unless you have something to kill with 2 damage, but if you do, he usually gets 2 for 1 or maybe 1.5 on average. But I'm going to go Fairy Dragon. It's a good 2-drop. Just inability to target it is very powerful. Alright, Rifleman is pretty terrible. I'm not a fan of this card. Dealing 1 damage Battlecry is not very strong compared to 2 that we just saw. So this guy's much worse than Stormpike Commando. And the main problem is, best case is he's 3/2. Like, he deals 3 damage in total, and he has 2 health. So a 3/2 minion for 3 is weak. So you have to get pretty lucky to be able to kill something with the 1 damage Battlecry, and then kill something again with his 2 damage. Berserker's okay. For mages, it can be quite strong because they can ping it. But it does take you extra mana to wind it up. So to make this a 5/6 minion when it attacks the second round it's out, it costs you 7 total mana. So a 5/6 for 7 is pretty shitty, honestly. Anyway, so I'm going to go Dark Iron. It's a really good minion even after the nerf. Arguably even better because you can play it no matter what on turn 4, even if you don't have a minion active. Alright, Arcane Golem again. Kodo is quite good, 5-drop. Just very efficient. If you kill something, you get a 2 for 1, pretty much guaranteed. It's great. But we'll go Blizzard here. It's pretty efficient. Board clear, not great, actually. I'll be honest, that the mana cost for the damage is a little bit severe. This was recently buffed, or nerfed rather, from 5 mana to 6. But it's still good, because it freezes things and does 2 damage. Even for the extra mana cost, you could spend 2 more mana and ping something, and then maybe ping something again the next turn. So it's a lot of mana investment, but it's good for card advantage. Okay, Mirror Entity again. Bloodcell Raider, not a great card, especially if you don't have a lot of weapons, which we don't have any. So I'm going to go War Golem as a late game drop. It's not amazing, but it's okay. It's better than these two. Alright, Dragonhawk is terrible. Stats are awful. Should never draft it. Tidehunter is also quite weak. The reason it's weak is even though the total stats are pretty good, the 1 health minions are very weak to a lot of damage. For example, if you face a mage or a druid or a rogue, they basically kill the 2-1 for free, and you just leave a 1-1 out, which is not good. Frostbolt is one of the most efficient, low-cost nukes in the game. You should draft quite a few of these if you can. They're very effective. Because of your hero power, you can either do this 3 damage for 2, or you can do 4 damage for 4. And that choice is awesome. You can even do 5 damage for 6 if you spend an extra turn. It's riskier, but it's possible. So it's really efficient that way. Warden is awful. Should never draft it. Stats are just too low. Well, the attack is too low. Warlord's pretty good. As long as you have 1 minion out, his stats are just fine, 5/5 or better. And he can be really strong if you have more than that. But Water Elemental's almost an auto-pick card for mages. This is one of the strongest 4-drop minions that you can get, like class minions. 6 health is so high, and 3 attack is pretty good. And because it freezes, again, like these other freezes, you can use your hero power in addition to the damage against a frozen target and kill it off at your leisure, basically. Berserker again. Farseer is quite good. 3/3 for 3. The heal is often fully 3 healing on your hero. And often you can also instead heal the minion that you have out or something. But we're going to go Shattered Sun. She's still really good. And yeah, that's it. Alright, Frostwolf Grunt's the weakest of these. The stats are just too low. Leper Gnome's actually slightly better, but still not good. I don't like 1 health minions, unless their spell text is amazing, which his is not. Because again, he dies to a lot of hero powers and stuff. So I'm going to go Frostbolt. Really efficient. Wow. Some really bad cards here. Secret Keeper's terrible. Stats are awful. Even if you have secrets, it's no good. Coldlight Seer's also bad. Can't rely on Murlocs. So we'll go Sun Fury Protector, even though she's not very good either. The Battlecry is pretty much irrelevant. You don't really need to give taunts usually. And a 2/3 for 2 is very plain. But she's still the best of those. Bluegill is 2 damage for 2 manas. Alright. Raptor is just a plain 3/2 for 2. But I think Stormwind Knight is the best here. He's 2 damage for 4 mana, and then sometimes you're left with a minion after you kill something. And yeah, I think I need the 4 more than the 2. Wow. Some more bad cards. Grunt again. Frost Nova I'm not a fan of. I don't think freezing exclusively for a card is worth it in arenas. It's more of a constructed card where you're using it to delay the opponent and kill them off. But in arenas, you don't get the card combinations you need that often to use Frost Nova. So I'm going to go Stormwind number 2. I don't really want it, but these are not exceptional cards. Okay, Counterspell is one of my favorite secrets in the game. I think it's quite a strong one. The nice thing about this card is it's a 1-for-1 always, so the opponent can't really play around it that well. I mean, they can to some degree, especially if they have the coin and they figure out it's Counterspell, they can play a spell, they don't care if it's countered. But often if you play this in the right time, you can counter a spell that they are planning around. For example, against a mage, you play it around turn 6. They either Blizzard or Flame Strike and it gets countered. It's very efficient and it ruins their entire turn. So I'm quite a fan of this spell, but I usually won't grab it over really good cards, but it's still a good one if you need one. Pyro is a really good 2-drop, especially with spells. You can do a lot of cool stuff. And then Sunwalker is a great in-game 6-drop. So I think I have to go Sunwalker, as much as I would love to get a Pyro. I think I need the late game. All right, Rager is terrible. Stats are no good. Never drafted it. Geomancer is also quite bad. If you need cheap spell damage, it's a good form of it, but his stats are weak, and usually spell damage is not that relevant. So I'm going to go loot order. Alright, another Frost Nova, Ice Barrier, one of the weaker secrets. Usually you don't need the healing. It's kind of a wasted card in most cases. Flame Strike is kind of an auto-pick card. You should always get the first 2, maybe 3 of these that you see. This card will win you games in arenas. That's all there is to it. It's extremely powerful. Alright, Oracle's terrible. Can't rely on Murlocs. No good stats. Arcane Missiles is okay. Usually I won't draft it over something better unless I have like a couple mana worms. I need low-cost spells. Maybe I have an Auctioneer for low-cost spell synergy. But otherwise, because of the randomness, even though its damage to mana ratio is very efficient, it's tough to make it work. You really have to play it very early game. So I'm going to go Tiger here. It's a fine 5-drop. Alright, Priestess of Elune is the worst of these. 4 health for 6-cost minion is very low. Dies to a lot of 3-drop minions. Harpy's also pretty bad. Her health is just too low for 6 mana, so often she'll die her first attack into a minion and not be able to win Fury off it. So we're going to go Brewmaster. He's a good 2-drop. Let's see, do we have anything we want to brew back? Shattered Sun, Dark Iron maybe. Maybe Stormwind. Maybe Sunwalker. So yeah, there's a few targets. I think Snapjaw's the weakest of these, although it's close. His attack is really low. Health is high, but that's about it. Corehound's also very weak. His health is very low. For 7 mana, he'll die to a lot of low-cost minions. Harvest Golem, on the other hand, is one of the best 3-drop neutrals. These are really, really efficient cards. 4/4 in total stats. Requires 2 attacks. It's really hard to kill the same turn you play it. Okay. That's an interesting choice here. Harpy's the worst, of course. Venture Co. is a good 5-drop, particular with spell classes like mages that don't cast that many minions. But I don't have that many spells right now. Most of my deck is minions. And then Poly is great removal, but Fireball's better. Unfortunately, you can't always get what you want. I would like 1 removal, maybe 2, so I should probably favor the Poly over the Venture Co. here. It's a tough call, though. But I do think I need the removal. Alright, Light Warden is terrible. Should never draft it. Unless you're a priest, that's about it. That can heal a lot. We have Blizzard and Sunwalker again. I think I'll favor Sunwalker over second Blizzard. I love board clear, but I think Flame Strike is superior. I think Sunwalker is quite good for late game minion. Okay, Arcane Explosion is terrible. Dealing 1 damage to all enemy minions for 2 mana and a card is usually not worth it. There are very, very few situations where this will kill off even 1 card. That's kind of the best bet, is it kills off 1 card. More often than not, it requires this plus 2 more mana of your hero power to kill something. And that's not great. Lord of the Arena is okay, but not great. His health is really low for a 6 mana cost. So I'm going to go Wolf Riders, kind of removal. It's basically a Frostbolt that costs 1 more and obeys attack rules, but we could use a 3 over the shittier 6, I think. Alright, Corsair. Well, both these are pretty bad. I think Corsair is actually worse than Oracle. It's just a terrible card. The stats are awful. It doesn't actually kill a weapon outright, unless the weapon only has 1 durability. Ooze is always superior. Oracle's also quite bad. You don't get card advantage over your opponent, and you're stuck with a 2/2 minion for 3. So we're going to go Kodo. He's really good, as we talked about. Okay. All of these are quite solid. It depends on your deck, really, whether Apprentice is the worst or not. If you have a lot of spells, she can be pretty strong. She's a decent 2-drop, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 2-drops plus 2 Frostbolts. Worgen can be a pretty good one-drop because he can trade up in most cases, but I think Fireball's the winner here. It's a second removal along with her Poly, and it's a really good card. Okay, well, interesting. Raptor's probably the worst of these because it has no spell text. It's just kind of very standard 2-drop. If you need a 2-drop, you can get him. Arcane Intellect is okay. You get card advantage, but you lose tempo, so you really have to know why you're picking this. And most of the time I shy away from this card if I get something better. Unless my deck really needs a lot of spells or something. So I think I will go Fireball number 2. It's a little bit risky, but I think that's better. Alright, Abuse Sergeant's the weakest of these. His Battlecry is worthless if you play him on turn 1 since there's nothing to buff. He's a 2-1 minion which dies easily. Not very good. You have to play him mid to late game basically. Elven Archer is also fairly weak. The Battlecry basically makes this a 2-1 minion in total damage. So you really have to be able to kill something with the Battlecry. But the problem is even if you do, the 1-1 minion left over probably won't kill a second thing. So best case scenario is this is a 1-1 minion. More often than not, she's a dead card, and you're just holding her until you find that opportunity. So we're going to go Sorcerer's Apprentice. She's a fine 2-drop. We could use another one over these cards. And we might be able to cast some cheap Frostbolts, Fireballs maybe. Alright, we've seen both these. Sen'jin is really good. Very efficient stats for 4. Taunt sometimes is helpful. And yeah, he just survives 2 attacks basically to kill in most cases. Alright, pretty good minions here. We've seen Ventrica. Worgen is pretty good 3-drop, especially for a mage. You can ping it and do crazy damage. So you basically get a 4-2 Wind Fury on the turn you attack for 5 mana, which is quite effective. And then Stormwind is a great late game. So I think I have to go Stormwind for late game because I don't have that many late game minions. I have 2 Sunwalkers and a War Golem. Yeah. Okay. Mirror Image, I think, is the worst of these. This card is... It's very, very difficult to make good use of it. You really, really need to only draft this if you have a lot of early game, namely Mana Worms. With Mana Worms out to be protected by Mirror Image, you can do a fair bit of damage to the opponent and just let the taunts do their thing slowly. But it's really hard to make good use of this. Silvermoon Guardian's okay. This Divine Shield gives him effectively 4 health. But Chillwind Yeti is great. Really efficient stats. We have a ton of 4s, but it's worth picking him up. Okay, 2 more picks left. I think we've seen all of these. I have a lot of 4s. I don't know if I can afford another 4. Although I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spells with spell damage. That's a tough call. I think I go Harpy over Magi. Well, although 2 Frostbolts with Magi could be good. But I have so many 4s. I think I have to go with 6. Okay, last pick. Wow. Oracle's crap. Alarmabot is also crap. It takes 2 full rounds for the minion that this is summoning to actually be able to do anything in attack. And that's pretty much worthless. Like, this guy usually is played and then he just dies for free. So we're going to go Counterspell for sure. It's the best of these. And hopefully we can counter some good spell. Alright, so this deck is alright. Our mid game is strong, which is really kind of where you want your curve to top out. Our late game is okay. 2 Sunwalkers is good, and a champion is good. Only 2 board clears. I would have liked a third, particularly a second Flame Strike, but it's not bad. 2 Fireballs pretty good. 2 Frostbolts pretty good, so... yeah, I would expect this deck to do the 7+ pretty easily. Mage is good. It's difficult to go wrong playing Mage. Alright, game 1 against a hunter.
You asked for it.
So, 2-1 is fine against a hunter. We also have a 3 and a 4, so I will keep these and drop the 6. Okay. Wolf Rider may be irrelevant, but that's fine. Depending on what our opponent does, I may coin a 3 next turn.
It's time for a little blood.
That's interesting, actually. I think I do coin the Harvest Golem against that. Wolf Rider could kill it right now, but Wolf Rider's better against a 3-drop minion.
Job done.
Harvest Golem should kill this one for 1. Unless he deadly shots, which would be insane.
Cleanse the Sunwell.
Okay. So I'll kill that as planned. And Loot Hoarder's good against that. I float a mana on, but it's fine.
Blood and plunder.
Ooh, that's pretty good. So I guess I have to Wolf Rider that. Or I can use this and this to kill that. I'd have a 2/2 against a 3/2. Or I could have an empty board on both sides.
Hey, give me that!
I can also just ping this. See what I draw. Maybe I draw 2. No. Oh well.
For honor.
So if I had drawn a 2, I would have pinged, played the 2 to counter that. But this is fine. Alright, so this got a 2 for 1, which is great. That's really all you can ask for. Probably Tiger here. I'll go down to 17 guaranteed. But I have 2 Sunwalkers to protect my Tiger next turn. Yeah, that's fine. Or I shouldn't say I go down to 17 guaranteed. If he hero powers, I do. Oh, deadly shot. That's pretty good. Alright, so I do get in there. Well, at least he uses deadly shot, so Sunwalker is less likely to be taken out. I've taken a fair bit of damage. Really, against the hunter though, the idea is just to stabilize. So it looks like he's going to draw at least 1 card. Oh, now he's going to kill command. Alright, Sunwalker got 2 for 1. So it looks like I ping 5 mana remaining. I think Water Elemental. Can't leave the Buzzard up, obviously, because he'll draw off it. Alright, 4 cards up against my 8. So I have double his cards. I just need to hang on a little bit longer.
Squire, attend me.
Ready, sir.
So I can clear the board. But I think better would be to play more stuffs.
Truth is my shield.
I want this in the middle. So you can't explosive everything. Karen, Jesus. I don't think I have a silence. Polly would be an amazing draw right now, but I doubt I'll get it. Nope. Okay. So this can kill that. I think that's worth it.
What to do? What to do?
Do I have a reason to counterspell here? Probably should.
Shall prevail.
Play this and counter. This is a lot of damage protected by taunt. And the counterspell should stop this from dying to a spell. Which means he'll have to use this with a buff to kill it. And then I fireball the result is the theoretical plan. Or use Dark Iron on a 3 probably.
Don't mess with Tusk.
So he thought it was Mirror, of course, so he played that first, which is smart.
I wonder. I let the dogs out.
Taunt, that's pretty good. Okay, let's see. Total damage, I have 8, 11. Ooh, shoot 2 fireballs. Jesus. 8, 11, 13, or 14, 18, 30. So I think I win. 3 goes into that. Let's see, 12 puts him down to 12. Yeah, I win. You got maged. Alright, so if I had not drawn the other fireball, I would have still had it, I think, because I had a Dark Iron, which was 2 damage, plus my ping, which is 3. And I had 3 remaining damage there after killing him exactly. So fireball did 6, so 3 less, of course, is 3. So yeah, I still would have had it.